Do you know that there's one San Antonio family who controls the largest private company in Texas with $32.8 billion in revenue and 90% ownership? That's exactly the kind of wealth we're talking as we dive into this jaw-dropping list of 8 richest families who control San Antonio's economy. These billionaire empires operate so smoothly that most people outside Texas have never heard their names, but trust me, their stories are absolutely wild. Let's explore one family at a time. Number 8. The Weston Dynasty, $628 million. Tech visionary in legal warfare. Let's start with Graham Weston, because his story perfectly captures how tech wealth operates differently than oil or retail fortunes in Texas. Weston's net worth sits around $628 million in 2026, following some significant financial hits from divorce proceedings, though his total assets and influence in San Antonio's tech scene keep him firmly in billionaire territory when you account for everything he controls. Weston co-founded Rackspace, the cloud computing company that became San Antonio's biggest tech success story before selling to Apollo Global Management in 2016 for $4.3 billion. That exit created the liquidity Weston used to pivot hard into real estate through his firm Weston Urban, which developed the iconic Frost Tower and much of the city's western downtown tech corridor that's transforming San Antonio's skyline. But here's where Weston's influence extends beyond just buildings. He founded Geekdom, the downtown tech incubator designed to transform San Antonio into a legitimate secondary tech hub that could attract talent and capital away from Austin. The vision was ambitious: turn a city known for military bases and tourism into a startup ecosystem. And while it hasn't reached Austin's scale, Geekdom has become a genuine launching pad for Texas tech companies. Now here's the spicy part that's dominated San Antonio business gossip in 2026. Weston's locked in an absolutely brutal legal battle with his former divorce lawyers at Davis & Santos. He's accusing the firm of double dealing, claiming they secretly represented his ex-wife Elizabeth during their contentious 2022 divorce, while simultaneously representing his business ventures. Weston's seeking $2.9 million in disgorgement of fees, and as of March 2026, the case is stuck in an Austin appeals court, creating drama that's captivated the city's business community. Elizabeth represented herself during the divorce, and juries sided with Graham on dividing their $21.2 million marital estate. But the legal warfare continues years later. Weston represents the new tech-driven wealth in San Antonio, billionaires who made fortunes in cloud computing and software rather than cattle and oil, then reinvested that capital into transforming the physical city itself through strategic real estate development. And while that sounds impressive, here's what happens when you own the largest Caterpillar dealership in America and the San Antonio Spurs. Number 7. The Holt Dynasty. Industrial might meets NBA championships. The Holt family, led by Peter M. Holt and increasingly by his heirs, controls 2 completely different San Antonio institutions. Holt Cat, the largest Caterpillar dealership in the entire United States, and the San Antonio Spurs, one of the NBA's most successful franchises. The industrial side is genuinely massive. Holt Cat has operated since 1933, and Peter Holt expanded it dramatically by purchasing the Dar Equipment Company in 2002, which secured the entire Dallas-Fort Worth market for heavy machinery. When you see Caterpillar equipment on Texas construction sites, there's a solid chance it came through a Holt dealership. But the family's primary public-facing role is stewarding the Spurs, which Peter purchased for $76 million back in 1993. A team now worth billions after 5 NBA championships and decades of sustained excellence under Greg Popovich. That's the kind of asset appreciation that makes sports franchise ownership such a wealth-building strategy for billionaires. In 2026, the Holts are leading Project Marvel, a absolutely massive $1.3 billion downtown arena district project. The family has personally committed $500 million toward the new arena's construction, plus an additional $500 million for surrounding mixed-use development, essentially betting $1 billion that downtown San Antonio's future is worth reshaping around a new sports and entertainment complex. Here's where it gets spicy. Peter Holt and his wife Lauren have been quietly purchasing prime real estate in San Antonio's Southtown neighborhood, including the building housing the Battalion restaurant, signaling a major land banking strategy ahead of the new arena's completion. They're positioning to control the valuable real estate surrounding their own development, which is brilliant but also creates potential conflicts. The Holts also faced public backlash from San Antonio Mayor Gina Ortiz Jones over a reported $6 billion donation to Trump-aligned political accounts, a controversy that briefly threatened the delicate negotiations over public funding for the downtown arena. When you're asking the city for infrastructure support while simultaneously funding controversial political causes, tensions emerge quickly. The Holt dynasty represents old-school industrial wealth, heavy machinery and manufacturing, combined with modern sports franchise appreciation and massive real estate development that's literally reshaping San Antonio's urban core. Caterpillar dealerships plus NBA, championships plus billion-dollar real estate bets. That's diversified power. Now meet the wildcatter who owns 30 vintage warplanes and the only American allowed to drill in Mexico. Number 6. The Lewis Dynasty, $1.3 billion. Wildcatter with Glacier warplanes. Rodney Lewis represents pure wildcatter spirit translated into modern energy wealth. As CEO and founder of Lewis Energy Group, he's built a fortune estimated at $1.3 billion in 2026. Though the number fluctuates with natural gas prices and Eagle Ford shale valuations. Lewis Energy Group is a genuine powerhouse in South Texas energy. Rodney made international business history as the first American wildcatter allowed to drill for natural gas in Mexico, earning him the nickname, "the only gringo allowed to drill in Mexico," a title highlighting his unique cross-border influence. His company manages over $5 billion worth of acreage in the Eagle Ford shale, and he personally owns over 350,000 acres of property across the region. But here's where Lewis's wealth gets genuinely interesting beyond just energy. He's absolutely obsessed with World War II aviation. He owns Lewis Air Legends, a collection of over 30 vintage military aircraft including the legendary Glacier Girl, a P-38 Lightning fighter he purchased for $10 million after it was recovered from deep beneath a Greenland glacier where it had been buried since 1942. Think about that for a second. Spending $10 million on a single vintage warplane extracted from beneath ice, then restoring it to flying condition. That's not investment strategy, that's pure passion backed by oil money. Lewis's lifestyle reflects extreme luxury across multiple dimensions. He owns the M5 sailing yacht, one of the largest single-masted yachts ever built, plus a private fleet of Dassault Falcon and Cessna jets for business travel. His San Antonio compound includes hangars for the vintage aircraft collection that function essentially as a private aviation museum. The only gringo in Mexico status came from successfully navigating Mexico's complex energy regulations and building relationships with Pemex, Mexico's state oil company, becoming their primary natural gas supplier from American operations. That cross-border positioning gives Lewis influence over energy policy that most American oil executives simply don't have. Lewis represents the wildcatter archetype evolved for modern times. Independent operators who take massive risks drilling in challenging territories, then spend their fortunes on genuine passions like recovering warplanes from glaciers rather than just buying yachts and mansions. Next up, we have a guy who turned homeless services into a national model using corporate accounting principles. Number 5. The Greehey Dynasty, $1.57 billion. Energy magnate turned philanthropist, William Bill. Greehey is a central figure in San Antonio energy, known primarily for roles as founding CEO and chairman of Valero Energy and later NewStar Energy. His 2026 personal wealth and foundation assets place him comfortably over $1.57 billion based on shareholdings in his legacy companies. Greehey's wealth was generated through aggressive growth and strategic spin-offs at Valero Energy. He transformed Valero from a small natural gas company into the nation's largest independent oil refiner, creating massive shareholder value through operational excellence and strategic acquisitions. His current portfolio remains heavily weighted in energy infrastructure. Valero Energy Holdings worth over $450 million. NewStar Energy LP positions around $221 million, plus Newstar GP Holdings, adding another $96 million. But here's what makes Greehey genuinely unique among San Antonio billionaires. He's arguably more famous locally for his philanthropy than his energy deals. Through the Greehey Family Foundation, which holds over $190 million in assets, he donates approximately $9.5 million annually, totaling over $150 million distributed since 2005. His most high-profile project is Haven for Hope, San Antonio's comprehensive homeless center that's become a national model for social services. Unlike most billionaire charitable ventures where donors remain distant and hands-off, Greehey serves as chairman of the board and is known for applying rigorous corporate accounting standards to the charitable operations, earning him the local nickname of a cheerful giver with an auditor's eye. That approach, running a homeless services nonprofit with the same financial discipline as a Fortune 500 company, has made Haven for Hope remarkably effective compared to typical social service organizations that struggle with financial management and accountability. Greehey essentially brought Valero's operational excellence to solving homelessness. The Greehey dynasty represents energy wealth with a conscience, where billions generated from oil refining get systematically deployed towards solving urban social problems using the same strategic thinking that built the fortune initially. $1.5 billion from oil refining, then $150 million donated to homeless services run with corporate precision, disciplined generosity. Now let's talk about the dynasty that built a multi-billion-dollar empire selling cars and co-founding Clear Channel. Number 4. The McCombs Dynasty. The $2 billion legacy of Big Red. The death of Billy Joe, Red McCombs in February 2023 at age 95, marked the end of an era. But the McCombs dynasty remains a top-tier San Antonio power player with the family estate and business interests managed by his children and grandchildren. At his passing, Red's net worth was estimated between $1.7 and $2 billion, a fortune that continues growing through diversified holdings. Red McCombs was the quintessential Texas entrepreneur, building wealth across automotive retail, media, and professional sports simultaneously. He co-founded Clear Channel Communications, which eventually became iHeartMedia, growing it into a global radio and outdoor advertising titan before exiting. Simultaneously, he established the Red McCombs Automotive Group, which in 2026 continues dominating the Texas car market with over 12 dealerships, making it a major regional employer. The popularity of the McCombs family is rooted in Red's larger-than-life Texas personality and his role saving the San Antonio Spurs by moving the team from Dallas in the 1970s, a decision that gave San Antonio its most important cultural institution and eventually 5 NBA championships. Here's the spicy element that makes Red's story legendary. He famously started his automotive career selling the Ford Edsel, one of the most notorious commercial failures in automotive history, yet somehow managed to use that disaster as a springboard to building a multi-billion-dollar empire. That ability to turn failure into success became part of his personal mythology. Red's heirs, including daughter Marcia Shields, now oversee the McCombs Foundation, which has donated over $30 million to MD Anderson Cancer Center and continues being a primary funding source for San Antonio healthcare initiatives. The foundation also gave $50 million to the University of Texas, which renamed its business school the McCombs School of Business in his honor. The McCombs dynasty represents old Texas entrepreneurial energy, car dealerships, radio stations, sports teams, all built simultaneously by someone who understood that diversification across industries creates resilience that single industry fortunes lack. But what happens when you turn medical device innovation into political kingmaking? That's where our next dynasty steps in. Number 3. The Leininger Dynasty. $1.9 billion wound care. Tycoon turned political power. James Leininger, locally known as Dr. Jim, holds a 2026 net worth of $1.9 billion built primarily through healthcare innovation. But his influence in San Antonio and across Texas is more commonly associated with deep political and religious activism that's shaped state policy for decades. Leininger's primary wealth vehicle was Kinetic Concepts Inc., KCI, a medical device company he founded specializing in advanced wound care technology, particularly vacuum-assisted closure systems that revolutionized how hospitals treat severe wounds. Under his leadership, KCI grew into a global leader before his eventual exit and diversification into other holdings. His business footprint extends into professional sports through a minority stake in the San Antonio Spurs, integrating him into the city's social and business elite. But here's where Leininger's story diverges dramatically from typical billionaire narratives focused purely on wealth accumulation. The spiciest aspect of the Leininger dynasty is James's role as a preeminent financier of the religious right and the school choice movement across Texas. He founded the Texas Public Policy Foundation, TPPF, a conservative think tank that wields enormous influence over the state's legislative agenda on everything from education to energy policy. Critics and supporters alike view Leininger as a genuine kingmaker in Texas politics, using his billion-dollar fortune to systematically drive a conservative, faith-based policy framework across the state. TPPF has become one of the most influential state-level think tanks in America, regularly drafting legislation that gets introduced in the Texas legislature and providing intellectual ammunition for conservative policy battles. This ideological commitment has made Leininger a genuinely polarizing but undeniably powerful figure in San Antonio. He's not just wealthy. He's actively using that wealth to reshape Texas governance according to specific religious and political principles, which is a completely different kind of influence than just donating to museums or hospitals. The Leininger dynasty represents the intersection of medical innovation and ideological crusading, where billions from wound care technology get deployed to fundamentally alter state education policy and religious influence in public life. $1.9 billion from medical devices, then deployed to reshape Texas politics through think tanks. Ideological wealth. Now meet the guy who sold salsa for $1.1 billion and used it to completely transform downtown San Antonio. Number 2. The Goldsbury Dynasty. $2 billion salsa fortune turned urban visionary. Christopher Kit Goldsbury represents one of the most successful wealth transitions in South Texas history, turning a salsa business into a $2 billion urban redevelopment empire that's physically transformed San Antonio's downtown core. The foundation of Goldsbury's fortune is genuinely one of the best exits in Texas business history. His path to wealth was catalyzed by marrying the daughter of Pace Foods founder, creators of Pace Picante sauce. Goldsbury eventually became company president and orchestrated the sale to Campbell Soup Company in 1994 for $1.12 billion, turning jarred salsa into generational wealth. Following that exit, Goldsbury established Silver Ventures, a private equity firm focused almost exclusively on transforming San Antonio's urban landscape rather than chasing returns across multiple cities or industries. His most visible achievement is the Pearl, a massive mixed-use development centered around the historic Pearl Brewery that's fundamentally altered the city's real estate market and cultural identity. The Pearl includes the luxury Hotel Emma, the Culinary Institute of America's San Antonio campus, high-end residential units, and dozens of restaurants and shops that have made the area San Antonio's most desirable neighborhood. Property values in surrounding areas have appreciated dramatically, and the Pearl has become the model for how historic industrial sites can transform into urban destinations. Here's the spicy personal history. Goldsbury's fortune was secured after separating from his wife, Linda Pace, an influential art collector who founded Art Pace before her death in 2007. The divorce effectively split the Pace Foods fortune, with Goldsbury taking the capital that built Silver Ventures. Goldsbury has also emerged as a significant donor to conservative political causes including the Tea Party Patriots, creating an interesting contrast. His developments attract progressive creative class residents and businesses, while his political donations support conservative movements. That ideological split between his real estate customers and his political alignments is quintessentially Texas. His influence operates as quiet power. He rarely gives interviews or seeks publicity, yet Silver Ventures is the primary architect behind San Antonio's trendiest and highest value districts. When the Pearl succeeds, Goldsbury's wealth compounds through real estate appreciation he directly created. The Goldsbury dynasty represents strategic urban transformation wealth. Take liquidity from selling a food brand, then deploy it into reshaping an entire city's geography and culture through patient real estate development. But as impressive as this sounds, the Goldsbury still fall short of our #1 family, who control the largest private company in Texas with $32.8 billion in revenue and 90% ownership. Number 1. The Butt Dynasty. $22 billion grocery empire. That's basically a religion. At the absolute top sits the Butt family, San Antonio's undisputed economic royalty, controlling the HEB grocery empire. As of March 2026, the family's collective wealth has reached historic heights, with Charles Butt's personal net worth at $11.1 billion, Eleanor Butt Crook at $4.6 billion, Howard Butt III at $3.2 billion, and Stephen Butt at $3.2 billion, totaling over $22 billion combined, ranking them among the top 15 wealthiest families in the United States. HEB, founded in 1905, has evolved from a single store in Kerrville into a retail behemoth with over 400 locations, a workforce exceeding 100,000 employees, and annual revenue estimated at $32.8 billion, making it the largest private company in Texas. The family maintains approximately 90% ownership, allowing them to reinvest profits into logistics and expansion without quarterly earnings pressure from public shareholders. Here's what makes HEB different from other grocery chains and why the Butt family's wealth is so secure. The brand operates as what locals describe as a secular religion in Texas. Customer loyalty isn't just strong, it's genuinely cult-like, with Texans defending HEB's superiority over national chains with almost religious fervor. The popularity stems partially from Charles Butt's personal narrative. Despite his multi-billion-dollar status, he's known for a humble origin story, starting at age 8, bagging groceries in family stores. That bagger-to-billionaire trajectory is genuine and forms the cornerstone of HEB's internal culture, where executives are expected to work store floors periodically. The family's wealth distribution is strategic rather than concentrated. While Charles serves as chairman, Eleanor Butt Crook resides in San Marcos, Stephen Butt runs Central Market from Dallas, and Howard Butt III has assumed the CEO role in 2026, signaling successful generational transition. This geographical spread across the Texas Triangle, San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, positions family members to oversee regional operations directly. What's genuinely remarkable is the family's resilience on wealth rankings. In 2026, they maintained elite status despite an influx of new technology billionaires whose fortunes rose more rapidly during the post-AI boom. While tech wealth can evaporate quickly, grocery revenue remains remarkably stable. People need food regardless of economic conditions, creating a defensive moat around the Butt fortune. The Butt dynasty represents the pinnacle of regional retail dominance, controlling the largest private company in Texas, maintaining 90% family ownership across generations, and building customer loyalty so intense it functions as competitive advantage that national chains simply cannot replicate in Texas markets. And there you go, 8 families controlling over $30 billion in combined wealth, built through everything from grocery empires to salsa exits, medical devices to vintage warplanes, and political king-making to NBA championships. If this changed how you think about where real Texas wealth actually lives, smash that like button and subscribe to Black Status for more such interesting peeks into Black wealth. Don't forget to drop a comment telling me which family's story surprised you most. Catch you in the next one.